football. It's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, wanted to make this video a follow-up video to my last video, which has caused a stir with a couple people, but it's all good. Can't please everyone. This is actually a more, I would say, centered video, more positive video about my experience yesterday at the Ohashi boxing gym, because it wasn't necessarily all bad. I probably should have did a better job of illustrating that when I went to the gym, it wasn't all bad. It was actually quite good. I had a great time. I bought an Ohashi gym boxing shirt. It's like one of the nicest boxing shirts I've ever bought. It's one of the coolest boxing shirts I've ever bought. So shout out to the gym. I wanted to still show some love, even though I didn't get the interview. I still wanted to show some love and some support, so I got the Ohashi boxing gym shirts. Very great shirt. But I wanted to kind of give you guys my take on, because I did get a chance to watch the Japanese kids spar at the Ohashi gym. I wanted to give you guys my take on, based on what I've seen there and based on what I've seen in some other Japanese boxing gyms, just give you guys my take on the difference I feel between Japanese boxing gyms and training towards American boxing gyms and training. Some of you guys may find this interesting, so I'll give you guys my experience, and you can do with this information what you will. But first and foremost, yesterday, I gotta say, sparring, gym culture in Japan is just so different than the USA. First and foremost, like, I've been to 4 gyms. I've been to Misako boxing gym. I've been to the Hatanaka boxing gym. I've been to, what's the other one? Misako, Hatanaka, BMB boxing or Kenshiro trains, and Ohashi boxing gym, right? And three of those 4 gyms I went to where I had like long visits, what I can honestly and sincerely say is that they don't really play music in the gym. It's not really a thing that you really see in Japan a lot. It happens, like there is music that gets played in boxing gyms, but for the most part, when I've been there for trainings, when I've been there for sparrings, the only noise you hear in the gym is the sound of pads, the sound of bags, and the fighters talking to the coaches. You don't really hear a lot of music. So I kind of like that aspect of it, because I feel like with that, even though I can't speak Japanese and understand everything they're saying and doing, what I can say, that's a clear indicator to me that they take training very seriously here. They're not training to be seen. They're not training to, show off per se. They're just training to sharpen their tools to the best they can be. And sometimes, I'm not gonna put American boxing gyms in a box and generalize them, because first and foremost, America is a huge country, and there's a lot of gyms I haven't even been to in the USA. But I've been to a lot of gyms in the USA, and what I can say is, in a lot of gyms that I've been to in the USA, it doesn't matter from in Miami, New York, LA, Texas, a lot of times, sometimes, depending on who the coach and who administers what happens in the gym, it can sometimes feel like a bit more of a social club than, a boxing gym. Sometimes too much talking going on, music too loud, so loud in gyms, sometimes you can't even hear, fighter to trainer communication. It's just simple things like that. So I like that aspect. I feel like training here is looked at a bit more seriously. So I like that respect that they have for the sport. Secondly, I would say the sparring. The sparring is different, or at least the sparring that I've seen is different, because the sparring that I saw yesterday at Ohashi gym, let me just say first and foremost, I didn't ask for the age of the kids, but I would venture to say the kids' age is probably ranged from like 7 to 12. They were young kids. They were pretty small kids. You could tell a lot of them, were not even teenagers yet. So I would say 7 to 12 is probably the age of kids I saw spar yesterday. But even in saying that, very impressed with the training at the Ohashi gym. That's honestly, that's partially why I bought this shirt. I kind of bought this shirt because I like the way they train there so much. I said, you know what, I like this gym. Let me buy a shirt. The one thing about Japanese boxing that I've realized more so than American boxing is that a lot of the they really do focus here on getting a good base when they punch. So like A lot of times you see their fighters doing this weird bounce. Like I don't know if there's a term for it. Maybe I should ask boxing gyms. There's like a bit of a weird bounce where like they're bouncing back and forth, and they're doing it as they punch. They're not bouncing and rhythm stepping into the punches. They're literally bouncing back and forth while they're punching. So they're very. I feel like Japanese fighters, their lower half, they build their lower half really well, and they're very good rhythmic fighters. Like they have a good rhythm when they fight. I can't really explain it, but like it's their own unique style. Like when I see it, I know it. That type of thing. So a big common trait I see in Japanese fighters is that their calves are normally pretty big because of the way they're trained to fight, and a lot of the way they're trained to fight comes from their lower half, their feet. And I'm not saying not in the same way that like a lot of American fighters train with their feet, because like especially the black American fighters, a lot of it is very much on your toes, lateral movement. And in Japan, that is a thing, but I would say they're more like north-south fighters as opposed to being east and west fighters. If you know what I'm saying, like so they're very compact, hand positioning, very very good. It's very good, right? And because of that, because of how they train the lower half of their body, the legs, the calves, all that type of stuff, you don't really see, I haven't really seen in these 3 or 4 years I've been to, I haven't really seen any Japanese fighters with ugly footwork or anything like that. I mean, every punch is getting from point A to point B pretty quick and sharp. And when I was watching those kids spar yesterday, despite them being 7, 8, 9 years old, 10 years old, I was kind of shocked how sharp their punches were. Like, their punches were very sharp. A lot of these kids, I feel like, were punching above their weight class. Like, if they were 7, they were punching like they were 9-year-olds. If they were 9-year-olds, they're punching like they were 11, 12-year-olds, and vice versa. So a lot of that is, I don't think a lot of that comes from, lifting weights or anything like that. A lot of it is just they have such a distinct focus to technique and getting that lower half of their legs and their body in order, that I would definitely say, obviously there's not as many Japanese fighters in the higher weight classes like, light heavyweight or middleweight or welterweight. But I would say, like, if you made a list of which countries produce the most like knockout punchers per capita, Japan would be up there. Like I think so. I really do feel that way because the way they teach their fighters and the knockout punches they have in this country, and that's just that. So that's like the second thing I noticed about Japanese boxing gyms, right? What I wanted to say about the sparring as well is I remember, right, there's 2 things about sparring I wanted to point out. So number one, there was this one kid that was sparring. It was a southpaw, and I watch this kid very closely because when I do train and I do box, I'm a southpaw myself, so I always like watching the southpaws, seeing how they fight, seeing how they think, seeing how the opponents react to the southpaws, because it's always interesting I think to watch in boxing, right? So there was this one southpaw kid yesterday, and I remember the kid he was sparring jumped in with like a right hand. And the kid fell short, and the southpaw, he just took a little step back, and he just shot a sharp, straight left hand right down the middle, and he caught this kid right on the top of his dome. It was a hard shot. Like it was the kind of sharp shot that you wouldn't really expect a kid at 10 years old or however old the kid was to throw. So it kind of shocked me how sharp the shot was for a kid that age. But when the other kid got caught, the coach stopped the sparring, and I couldn't, obviously I don't speak Japanese, right? So I couldn't understand what he was saying, but I could definitely tell he wasn't asking the kid if he wanted to get out the ring. He was correcting him, like, so it looked like he told him basically like what happened, why he got caught in the shot. And the reason I'm saying this is because he made like a motion of like slipping his head to a certain side, and he talked to him for about 30 to 40 seconds. So they stopped the sparring to literally talk to the kid about why he got hit with that shot, and then sparring resumed. So I kind of like that part, because what that tells me too is also like sparring for the Japanese is not an ego thing. They're really trying to see what works and what doesn't in the ring. So So sometimes when I go to gyms in the USA, what I will see is I'll see someone, who's here spar someone who's here as far as levels go, and the guy who's more experienced beats the shit out of the lesser experienced guy. And that's just all it is. It's just basically you're practicing beating the shit out of somebody, right? But sometimes the coaches don't take the time to like explain to fighters why they got hit with a shot. So I'm not saying that like you should always stop a sparring session to always explain why a fighter got hit with a certain shot, but I do feel like sometimes maybe, especially for somebody who's a beginner or trying to learn the sport, it may benefit them if they're sparring somebody more experienced every now and then. If they're getting destroyed in sparring, or if they're getting hit every time with the same shot over and over again, it may benefit the fighter for 30 to 40 seconds to stop the sparring, explain to them why they got hit, tell them the adjustment to make, and then resume the sparring and see if they can make the adjustment. Because I feel like if the fighter can make the adjustment, then that allows the fighter, right, to gain more confidence in the gym. So I like that aspect of it, right? And then this is more of like something subtle that I noticed, right? So that same kid who sparred the southpaw, when he landed that big ass left hand I'm telling you guys about, I had a reaction. I was like, I wasn't like loud or obnoxious, but I was kind of like, ooh, like, kind of just like reacting to the shot, because I was like, damn, it was a big shot. It was surprising to me. Don't really see kids throw shots like that at that age in the States as much, right? So, it was a great shot, and the gym was quiet. And I just remember like when I was like, ooh, or whatever reaction I had or whatever I said at the time, a lot of the gym started looking at me. So, and I noticed too throughout the sparring, when other kids land big shots, I didn't really hear the parents, because there were a lot of parents there, which I also liked. There was a lot of parents there, which shows that they care for their kids. I read a stat recently that apparently like 95% of Japanese households in this country, in Japan, are two-parent households. So parents seem to be very involved with their kids here. But I didn't really hear like any reactions when big punches were landed. I don't know why. It's just a culture thing. But me being an American, well, not even just being an American, just me being an excited boxing fan, someone who really appreciates the sweet science of the sport and all the styles that come with it, I really was like, I enjoyed the work that was being given, and I kind of had a reaction, and people looked at me kind of funny, but I didn't do it again, because I could tell maybe that's not something they're used to. But yeah, those are a couple differences I noticed as far as sparring goes. And then I would definitely say the third thing I kind of recognize is everyone seems to be on one accord here. I like the fact. I like that fact about Japanese. Everyone seems. I could be wrong, but I'm just telling you guys what I see. Everyone seems to be on one accord. Because like, let me explain something to you guys in America who may not know this, right? One thing about Japanese boxing structure that's different than the USA is that every boxing gym in Japan is a promoter, right? So like, for example, I'll give you an example, right? In the USA, the gyms are just the gyms. Like, it's a place for the fighters to come train. The trainer will have a stable of fighters. So I'll give you an example. Ismail Salas, we'll just use him as an example. Ismail Salas trains a lot of fighters. He's got Joe Joyce, who's a Frank Warren fighter. He's got Brian Mendoza, who's an Al Heyman. He's got Yordenis Ugas, who's an Al Heyman. He's got fighters with different promotional companies, and in Japan you don't really see that type of thing. If you train at Ohashi Boxing Gym, you fight with Ohashi Promotions. You get what I'm saying? Like Onaiwa Inoue, obviously his TV distributor in the USA is ESPN, Top Rank. That's his like co-promotional deal he has in the States. But his promoter, the guy that handles everything, is Hideki Ohashi. The former what was it, minimum weight or light flyweight champion? I can't remember what weight class he fought in, but he fought Ricardo Lopez, so it's one of those weight classes. That's his promoter. Like, that's who he's with. Same thing goes for like Kosai Tanaka and Kento Hatanaka. Hatanaka Boxing, the gym, Seoul Boxing Gym, that's their promoter. Misako Boxing, Shuichiro Yoshino and all that, Misako Boxing, Takashi Misako is his promoter. So in the USA, we don't have that. Like, there's a bit more gray area, so to speak. The promoters are different than the trainers. But in Japan, the trainers in the gym are your promoters. So I'm I'm sure there's negatives to that. Like, I'm sure there's negatives to that. But what I'm saying is that I think, from my vantage point, from what I've seen, I feel like that fosters a culture of just being one. And because of that, I feel like fighters in Japan are able to get active and stay active more because they don't have that middleman of promoter and trainer. No, the trainer, the gym is your promoter. So you have the dates. Everything's on one accord. And that could also be another reason why. That's also part of another reason why I feel like, now that I've had a little bit insight being here, that, you know, when you see these guys like Inoue and Tanaka fast track to world titles, that's part of the reason why. I think structure of Japanese boxing, the gym / promoter setup of Japanese boxing as opposed to the USA, it allows a culture, it fosters a culture where their fighters can be fast tracked more. So that's been very interesting to learn. So that's kind of my take. Those are my 3 takeaways. Those are my 3 takeaways of the difference between Japanese boxing gyms and American boxing gyms. Now, I'm not saying this. I want to make this very clear. I am not saying this to put down American boxing gyms or American boxing culture. I think there's things about American boxing culture that you don't get in Japan. Straight up, there's things about American boxing culture that you get that you won't get in Japan. And maybe that can be another video. But I'm not saying this to put down the USA boxing. I'm only saying this to highlight some differences. So yeah. On a more positive note, shout out to Ohashi Boxing Gym. Love the shirt. Probably go back and get another one. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me. But I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. We're here at the Hatanaka Boxing Gym in Nagoya, Japan. And for more great videos just like this one, make sure you guys click right here.